Yes, good evening, members. You're very welcome to today's session. My name is Darius Nkwasiwe, your usual host from Next Life Finance and BCG, and we are more than delighted to host you yet again. Ever since last year, December, these sessions are brought to you in partnership with the Untitled Club of Ruvaga, and we are more than always delighted to have you joining the call. Today, we are going to be discussing something that is very interesting, and I know that many of you are right now in the process of setting and managing your yearly goals. I know some of us have already set these goals, and I know some of us may have not thought about setting these goals, but at today's session, you're probably going to want to consider that decision of not having your goals up to this time. I know if you've been part of these sessions, if you've been part of our community, you understand how much it is important to make sure that you have your personal finance goals set so that you're able to track and you're able to measure your success. So I'm very confident that from today's session, you're going to find value, and please make sure that you utilize this value to the maximum. Coach Samuel Ivanda shares a lot about personal finance among the many things that he speaks about. But one of the things that I know he's very confident about and he's very capable with is guiding people into the kinds of goals that they can set and how they follow them through. So you cannot be successful at achieving financial freedom, financial independence, or you cannot claim that you're financially literate if you move along the aisle without any goals. So that's why today's session is very, very wonderful, and I welcome you to make sure that you give it the attention that it deserves, so that by the end of this session, you're going to apply what you'll have learned. Remember, we find value in you applying whatever you would have shared. Like I mentioned, these sessions are brought to you by Next Life Finance in partnership with BCG and the Untitled Club of Ruvaga. If you're coming to this session for the very first time, I would like to ask you right now, even before we move forward, please go to my YouTube channel, that is Personal Finance with Darius, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button. When you go there, you're going to be able to see all of our previous sessions, our previous episodes, especially starting around August last year, so that you can be able to follow through whatever you may have missed out. Please, I encourage you, visit the YouTube channel, Personal Finance with Darius. You're going to find it like this. You're going to find their videos. Hit the subscribe button, like the videos, be able to listen to them. If you can do that before we move forward, I will very much appreciate it. So if you've gone and subscribed, please feel free to type a Y in the chat room so that I can know how many people are following and supporting. So please type a Y in the chat room if you have already visited and subscribed to our YouTube channel, that is Personal Finance with Darius. These are some of the sessions that you'll find there, sessions like these ones, and you're going to find that you'll get a lot of value from going back. Sessions like investing in unit trusts, sessions like habits for personal finance excellence, sessions like investing in government securities, sessions like investing in shares and stocks for beginners. You're going to pick value a lot from them. Sessions are to do with budgeting and expenses management. So before we invite today's speaker, I would like to ask you, and you can type in the chat room your expectations, or if you'd like to raise your hand and share your expectations, I'm willing to give you that chance before we invite Coach Samuel Ivanda to start sharing with us. So tell me, what is your expectation as you come to this session? Anyone that would like to share, you can please raise your hand and I'll pick you up. Or just type in the chat room and I'm able to pick it up. The link to the YouTube channel has been shared in the chat room. So if you hadn't found it, you can also check the chat room and be able to go and subscribe and like the previous videos. All right. As people think through themselves, I would like now to switch and give the platform to Coach Samuel Ibanda to share with us about setting and managing personal finance goals so that we can see how we move forward with the session. Coach Samuel Ibanda, the floor is yours so that you can unpack the package that you had for us today and we'll be able to move forward. Over to you, Samuel.
All right. Thank you so much, Darius, for getting me here and for the participants that have joined through, both live and those that are watching their replay. Darius, I would love to share my screen. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and then we can have the conversation all throughout. All right, so welcome once again. So basically today we want to look at how we can set and manage our personal finance goals. Like Darius said, this is a very good time for us to set our goals, just in case we have not set. And if we already set, it's good for us to also reflect on whether we set the right goals for ourselves, but also find ways of how to actually achieve the goals, because it is one thing to set the goals and it's one thing to manage and actually achieve the goals. So this conversation should be able to put us next to achieving our goals, okay? So with you today is Coach Samuel Ibanda, like Darius introduced me. I'm very interested in personal finance, business and career and more. I'm a coach and you find me on different platforms as Coach Samuel Ibanda. I'm an accountant by profession and I'm a certified public accountant. As you can see there, I've basically found a passion in helping professionals thrive both in their careers as well as business in order for them to earn more and grow their wealth. Okay, so that encompasses, and such a discussion fits well into what I think my purpose is. So you are the right person at the right time, okay? Yeah, so I want us to go to what we are here for today. So we are here to look at financial goals. Our topic is setting and managing financial goals. So financial goals.
Hi, Samuel.
Yes, Darius. Hi, Darius.
Yes, so as you get started, we seem to be having a glitch in your network. If you can find how you can position yourself so that the network is clear.
Right. Is it the same for other people? Maybe they just confirm. Will it be the same thing, the same for other people? Are they also facing the same thing? Okay, can other people hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear? Can people confirm in the chat box? Anyone to confirm that they can hear me? Hi, Darius. Am I better? Okay. Barbara says she can hear me. So I hope other people can also hear me as well. So back to what we are here for today. We are here to look at financial goals. And every time you hear the word financial goals, of course, it is it is goals and the finances. Now, finances, in most cases, we want to call it money. But we understand that when we speak about our personal finance, we're not going to speak about the money that you have in your pocket. You're speaking on many other things beyond your just the cash that you have. You're speaking about your investments, you're speaking about your saving culture, you're speaking about things to do with your emergency fund, you're speaking about aspects to do with your financial habits, and so on. So when we are trying to set our goals, when we're trying to set our financial goals, ours is to see what are we exactly going to do with each of these different aspects of our personal finance journey. So a financial goal, in simpler terms, we call it any plan that you have for your money, either the one you have in the cash, either the one you're yet to receive, either the one you have invested, either the one you have maybe in other people's pockets. So that is what we want to add here. Now, just like the way we have, I know for most people, we usually set our financial goals when we set our New Year's resolutions. So we include some aspects of finance of exactly what we want to do. Now, that is very important, but it's also good for you to have financial goals separate, because in this, the financial goals themselves, they are not just annual goals, but your financial goals should be both short-term and long-term. And by that, I mean, if, for example, you want to, let's say, own a house, or you want to make sure that the education of your children is safe, or you want to make sure that you're financially independent, that in case of any job loss, you don't have anything to shake you, and you're strong in case anything happens. You have covered up your emergency fund and so on. Now, all that, some of these things may not be achieved within 1 year. Some of them may not be achieved within 2 years. Some of them may even take you about 4 or 5 years. But then your short-term goals should also fit into your long-term goals. Now, usually when we have New Year's resolutions, in most cases, we want to set New Year goals, new goals that have not existed before. Now, with your financial goals, as somebody who is walking along the journey of becoming financially independent, when you're setting your New Year's resolution, it should also be a time for you to even reflect and say, I set this as my 5 years goal. We are now 3 years into this journey. How have I moved? If it's maybe it's a 2 years goal and you've already moved to 1 year, you ask yourself, what exactly have I moved? So when you're setting your New Year's resolutions in regards to your finances, all you're trying to do is in the direction of where I want to be. What am I exactly going to do this year specifically? Okay, so you're trying to now bring your overall bigger goal into smaller goal that can work for a given year. Okay, so that is very, very important for us. So I believe that that gives you a picture of how your financial goals are and how they should be basically. So before you can set your financial goals, just in case you're part of this webinar and have not set your financial goals. Now, the first thing that we want to basically do is reflect. Now, in most cases, we set our goals out of excitement. And because Darius has set a goal of buying his car by next year, maybe June, you also want to set the same goal. Or somebody has an aspiration of having their wedding by the end of this year, and you say, I think I can also do this. And you also want to set the same goal. Now, if you want to have goals that you can achieve, if you want to have realistic goals, if you want to have goals that relate well with you, that are not just about setting, but goals that you can actually achieve, then you have to make a reflection. And reflections are into 3 categories. Basically, you're going to look at your past. How has it been in terms of your relationship with your money? What goals have you set in the past? And how did you progress with those goals? Very important. And in the same way, you also need to look at your habits as well. What have been some of your habits, especially when it comes to, let's say, saving? Are you a person who would start, say, I'm going to save this year, and by March or maybe June, you cannot maybe even tell how far you've gone? At time we had the 52 weeks challenge. And many people were excited to jump on the journey. I don't know how many people were able to complete, despite the circumstances that COVID brought along the way. So you need to look at your past, and your past should be looking at how exactly you move with money. Now, as you do that as well, you also need to look at your current. Okay. Now, when you look at your current, I want you to use what I call look at your net worth. Okay. Start by looking at your net worth. By net worth, I mean look at, in terms of your finances, what are some of the assets you have? Okay. What are some of the liabilities that you have? When I say assets, I mean what do you have that brings in an income? At the end of the day, maybe you could be having, let's say, rentals. You could have your house. Okay, you could have, let's say, you could have a vehicle. I know other people say those may not be assets, but to you, those would include the assets, just in case they are either generating you an income or they are actually saving you an expense that you would have incurred just in case you didn't have them. In one or the other, they are actually assets to you. So look at that, and also then look at also aspects to do with your debt. Whose money do you hold? Is it for the bank? Is it for your sister? Is it for your brother? Is it for your spouse? You need to look at all these. So it's for your landlord. You have not paid rent. You need to look at all these aspects. Now, when you look at your assets and then your liabilities, those give you a picture of your net worth. But in the same way, I also want you to look at in terms of your income and your expenses, because these are also big factors in regards to us achieving our financial goals. Now, when you look at your income, just ask yourself, what are the sources of my income? Now, most of us that are part of this call, we may be salary earners. So if it's salary that is alone, that is your income, put that down and say, this is my income. In case you have other sources of income, maybe you have rentals, maybe your person who runs a side business, maybe you do some consultancies, maybe you have somebody who gives you some money, maybe you let's amount they give you less on a monthly basis. So that is part of your income. So anything that comes through in terms of a cash inflow to you, that write it down. And you can do this from a monthly perspective. And then in case you have some incomes that come maybe within there, you can try to cascade those down also into, let's say, on a monthly basis, what would be the average that comes through. And in the same way, I want you to look at your expenditures. Okay, look at your expenditure and see what are some of those things that take your money. And from that, I want you to look at the needs. From expenditures, I want you to look at the needs in terms of what exactly takes your money on a monthly basis, something that you cannot do away with. This could be your rent, this could be your maybe medical expenses, this could be your clothing, those kind of needs. And then also look at the discretionary expenses that just arise. For them, they are wants in terms of vacation. Maybe you usually take your girlfriend out every Friday. Maybe yourself, you go out. Whatever happens, maybe you usually send maybe some money to some of your baby siblings once in a while. So those expenses that are not really needs, but you actually incur them. Look at that as well. And then also look into, once you've looked at your current, you also now look at the perspective of the future, of where you want to be. Okay. Now, most of us that are part of this conversation, we have aspirations. Maybe you're earning a very low salary that you don't know how the future will look like, just in case that salary stopped coming. Maybe you have that business that is running and is struggling, that you don't know how tomorrow might be, just in case you don't take any step towards anything. Maybe you're somebody who feels like it's a time for me now to start an alternative income, or it's a time for me to curb my saving culture to make sure that I'm actually making sure that I'm saving a given percentage. So all that, and your future is as a result of your aspirations, but also your future is also based on your current, because you don't want to aspire something that doesn't fit within your circumstances. So that is why it's good for you to make the financial reflections before you even think about goals. You don't just wake up and say, I want to buy a car by maybe next year. So how are you going to buy the car? You have not looked at how much you receive on a monthly basis and how that cascades down in terms of how much you save, how much you have invested, and how much you have borrowed that maybe standing in debt that you need to clear. So all that is very important, and you make that reflection well with that notebook alongside you there as you try to look into your relationship with your money, because the reflections are basically to help you understand your reflection, your relationship with money. Now, as you do that, you're writing down all that reflection. Now, after you've done the reflection, now you're looking into what exactly you want now to do. Now, as you write now your goals, it is even much easier because you know exactly who you are, you know your relationship with your money, you know your habits, you know your background, and you know that your background may influence certain aspects of your relationship with your money. You also know your aspirations in terms of where you want to be when it comes to money. Now that should be able to direct in terms of what are now my goals, what exactly am I going to do. For example, if you're somebody who has taken loans after loans, you actually take a loan to pay another loan. You have a salary loan, you have a loan from a circle, you have a loan from an investment club, you have a loan from a friend, you have a loan from your spouse. You just have loans everywhere. Now, your goal might be to get out of debt. If you're somebody who has picked lessons from, let's say, the COVID situation, and you feel like last time I had a pay cut at work, they actually paid us 50% in the first months, and after some months, they actually said they did not pay us. I need an emergency fund this year. So that could be you that wants to start on this journey. And you want to say that now I need to make sure that I have some money somewhere, just in case anything happens, just in case anything comes up along the way. Maybe if you go into another pandemic, because the future is still uncertain, we cannot tell how it will look like. But in the same way, we are humans, even without the uncertainty of COVID, we know very well that time to time we have emergencies. It could be health, it could be to do with, let's say, maybe school fees. School fees may not really be an emergency because this is something that you plan for. It could be that car tire or that car breakdown, whatever might come up. It might be a shortage maybe at your workplace. You're in finance, like some of us that deal with cash. So you need something that you can fall into back. Have you ever been to a point in time where you need some money, you try to call less over 5 people and everyone is saying you don't have, the situation is not good. And especially when it is, let's say, mid-month, or maybe you're coming to around maybe 20th there, when people have already depleted most of their accounts. So you need to have a cushion of knowing that I have something that can take care of me just in case anything happens. And then also yours could be maybe think about an extra income. For people that say I need employment, yours could be I want to have an extra income. I'm tired of depending on a single source of income that you don't even have control, because your expenses are increasing every day, but then your income has remained stagnant. You have gotten a family recently, or you have gotten a new addition to your family, and your income is still the same. Expenses are increasing, and that has got you into stress. And you feel this year I need to have an extra income. And then yours could be say, now I need an insurance. Just in case I go, how safe are my children? How safe are my dependents? How safe am I myself, just in case anything happens? Maybe I get an attack, I get a disease that requires me a lot of money. I think we've seen many people here who have gotten diseases that require lots of money, and they have to go to India for operation. There are many things that happen there, and they have to start doing fundraising for you, and you don't even have, of course, the certainty that the fundraising will be able to raise the money. So you want to create a certain kind of level of certainty of your capability into the future. So you may want to go for insurance. Now, some of you are employed and have the medical insurance, but you want to go for something like a life insurance that can maybe be able to help you in such circumstances. Maybe the other could be retirement. Some of us maybe now late 30s or 40s, or even now our late 20s, and our aspiration is to retire peacefully, make sure that we created something. So you could be say, I'm going to get that land, put on those trees, even if they take 15 years, I'm going to do it this year. That's what I'm exactly going to do. So your goals depend about you, and that's why you don't copy somebody's goals. So from that perspective, you're able to put down goals that relate well with your income, goals that relate well with your situation, and so on. Okay, so very important. Now, I know most of us have heard about the SMART way of setting goals. I just want to touch it a bit because it's very important. I think in most cases, for example, you say I want to get out of bed. That is your goal, but you need to make this a little more simpler for you or a little more clearer for you. If, for example, you want to find an extra income, how much exactly do you want in terms of extra income? And for how long would you think you're going to actually attain this goal? What is your timeline in terms of earning that extra income? So very important for you to be able to set what we call the SMART goals. Now, by SMART, SMART is just an acronym of specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And I just want to use an example here. So, for example, you want to earn a side income. You are very specific on your goal. Okay, you're very specific on your goal. So that is specific. Now, you want to make how much of the side income? So you want to modify this and say, I want to make 500,000 and above side income every month. So you've put the element of measurable. You've brought in the aspect of how much exactly you need. Okay. Now, one of the other things that since you've done a financial reflection, you understand yourself and you understand the time that you have on you, you understand the opportunities that you have on you. You also understand on what you can exactly do when it comes in terms of your skills. You get it. So you understand all that. Now, with that in mind, you now have to set something that is realistic, okay? Because our S is of course the specific. Now, measurable is looking at value. What is it exactly? Because at the end of the day, you want to evaluate yourself after a period and say, this is how much I've been able to earn. Okay, based on a monthly basis and so on. So that is very important. Now, realistic according to your situation. Now, the other aspect is you want, let's say, to start earning 500,000 every month starting March 22. You've even put a timeline on how this, when you want to start achieving this goal. Okay, so that is very important because you're now getting a little more closer into the realities of life. And when you actually coming into setting your goals, especially the SMART goals, you even reach a point in time where you can know that what I've set is actually realistic and what I've said may not be, maybe realistic at the end of the day. Okay, so that is very important for you. And then maybe yours may not be a side income, but yours may be, for example, you want to own maybe a bedroom house. So you want to say, I would like to own my 3-bedroom house in the village by March 2023. Okay, so that is your goal. That is your financial goal. Now you can have several goals. Okay, you can have several goals that touch each of your aspects, either investments, either saving, either to do with, let's say, your habits, whatever you want to set on, or your emergency fund, whatever goal is it for you, whatever expression you have, not my goals, but your goals. Okay, that's why it's called personal finance. Very important. So I just felt I should also share something to do with budgeting here, okay? And when I share about budgeting, I want to share with you the 50-30-20 budget rule. Why I'm bringing the budgeting when I'm doing the financial goals is because at the end of the day, you can have the goals, but if you're not looking at your income vis-a-vis your expenditures, then it's highly, the chances of reaching your goals is very limited. And that is where the budgeting comes in, okay? So as you have reflected on your current, how much you're earning and how much your expenses are, yours is to have an aspiration in terms of what exactly you want your finances to look like, in terms of how much you're earning and how much you're saving and how much is going into investment and other sources. So there's a 50-30-20 rule. This is a very common financial rule that you can be able to find even on the internet. But basically what it says that you receive 100% of your income monthly. 50% should basically go to your needs. Now, this might vary for you depending on your source of income. Yours might be 70%, yours might be let's say 30%, depending. Okay, and you set your pace. If you set something that works for you, this is just an example. So you could say 50% is going to my needs, and this means you're going to pay your rent, you're going to pay your let's say your medical, your food, and so on. Okay, all these that are very essential. Then you also want to have the wants. Now, the ones that are the ones that I spoke about, the so-called discretionary expenses. These you can actually do away with them, but they are part of your life. You don't want to, because you want to attain financial freedom, financial independence. You don't want to not live life. You have to live life because you may save for the future that you may never see. So you may also have a budget for living life. Okay, so you want to travel, you want to get time once in a while, you want to be able to go for shopping, you want to meet your hobbies, and so on. And then once you have gotten your 50, now there's a 30, you should remain with the 20%. And now this 20% should be what is going to help you attain your financial goals. But like I said, this 20% can be 40% for you. This 20% can be actually 50%, just in case it's very possible for you, okay? Because this is your journey, it's personal finance, and what works for me may not really work for you, okay? So you need to look at that and see what works for you. From that, as you also look at your budgeting may also affect your financial goals in one way or the other. When you look at, let's say, the percentage that is remaining after you remove all the necessary expenses and the ones that you have, you may want to this and say, if I'm earning 2 million today, 1 million goes into my needs, and 500, let's say, goes into, okay, maybe not 500, but let's say, if I'm earning, let's say, 2 million, 30% will be, let's say, 600,000. Maybe 600,000 goes into my wants. And then what I remain with is, let's say, 400,000, which is my 20% of the 2 million. So you could read this and say, if my goal is to have an emergency fund of 3 million, maybe by June, can I really achieve it if I'm saving, let's say, 300,000 monthly? Then you're able to adjust and say, let me now make it, let's say, 900, maybe make it 900,000, or let me make it maybe whatever amount. You either increase on the percentage you're saving, or you actually reduce on your goal. Okay, reduce on your goal. Now, of course, there's a lot of frugality when it comes to aspiring to live a financial free life. You also don't want to set something that is very easy for you to achieve. But at the end of the day, you also need to think about the future. As you're enjoying the short-term benefits of your life, you also need to think about the life when you're not adding that money. Okay, so that is very important. Now, after you have done that, you now put up your action plan. Now, the action plan is to help us bring the goals into reality. You want to increase your income. You want to do a side income. What exactly are you going to do? Are you going to open up a business? Are you going to take on another part-time job? Are you going to build rentals that can give you rent? Are you going to do consultancy? Are you going to do freelancing? You get down into now action, because a goal without a plan is just a wish. You need to get down in terms of what exactly you're going to do. Now, in the same way, when you bring your action plan, you also need to get down, use some aspects of SMART to be able to understand that specifically this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my Facebook profile to be able to advertise for other people and I'll earn commission. Or I'm going to use my vehicle home and I'll enroll to Uber and I'll be able to drive in my free hours to be able to bring money. Or I'm very good at teaching, so I'm going to look for a teaching job over the weekend. Or I'm good at cooking or baking, so I'm going to see how I can better my skills and I start taking on orders from my friends to be able to serve them. Or you could say, for example, let's say I'm good at online marketing, so I'm going to help small businesses that are struggling with marketing themselves online. So based on your skills, based on your circumstances, you make a decision around there. okay, in terms of your action points. In case you want to save, maybe improve your saving culture, you want to say, I'm going to now sign up with a direct debit with my bank. So that when my salary reaches like this, they just deduct it. I don't even have to see that amount of money. Or I'm going to join an investment club and I'm going to commit to saving 100,000 per month. Or I'm going to open up a unit trust account, let's say by Zeno or by UAP, and I'll be able to save a fixed amount of money. That is what the action plan now does. Okay. And there's importance in breaking down these into smaller goals, okay, into smaller steps. Now, some of us want to aspire so much. We want to basically start that baking business. So the first thing you think about is how much money do I need? I need, let's say, 10 million. And that will take you up to don't even look for the money. And by the time you reach June, you'll feel like, I think this is not for me. So what are we saying is that find something that you can start with. Now, from this picture, you can see that the small steps that we see on the screen seem to be much easier. If this person was not taking on these longer steps and came here, did the small steps, they would be very far just like this other person up here. So you need to understand that to attain what you aspire is not something to do. It's not a marathon. Okay, you don't want to put yourself into circumstances of what you cannot achieve. Start with something that you believe you can actually achieve. So start with smaller steps. For example, if you want to start a business, start by, let's say, I'm going to research about this business. So that is one action point. And say I'm going to open up, let's say, open up a company, or I'm going to start, maybe I'm going to go to a supplier and ask about the price, and put timelines as well on some of these things to make sure that at the end of the day, you're making progress, other than aspiring something big that you cannot achieve in a small time. Okay. So once we have understood goals and understood what exactly is needed and why we need them, now one of the things that I want to share with you, part of this, is how to manage and achieve your financial goals. What aspects of your life need to change? What principles do you need to basically have? And this is from personal experience, some of the things that have really worked for me. And I believe that you can pick one or two things that may work for you as well. So the first principle is to start, okay? Starting is very important. I know we have people who set New Year resolutions, but when you ask them what you have done about the New Year resolution, they have not started. And you know, time moves very fast. Today we are in, this is January. January has been a long month. Now we're waiting to a new month, which is February. By the time you realize we're into April, and the conversation will now change. I'll start next year. Next year will come and you fail to start. So you need to start. You need to change your mindset and understand that for you to get there, you have to get started. And like I said, start small. Start with the small steps. Even if it's just getting a material and reading, or a book and reading, and say, this year I want to better my knowledge of financial literacy, or going to personal finance with Darius and going through all those videos to see what might work for you and get started onto that journey. I think it's very important. And most of us fail at the starting point. We keep postponing. We always wait for the better conditions to come our way for us to start. I don't have time. I work late. I cannot even do the side business at all. But you have the 1 hour or 2 hours that you're home. What if you start with that by just reading about the business that you want to start? That would be also important as well. Okay. And then we have, of course, the discipline. Now, there is starting and there is remaining dedicated. I think we've heard it from many people saying that most people set goals at the start of the year, but by March, nearly 60% have dropped. By the time we get to May, June, we only have about like 30% people who are still sticking on their goals. So this is very important as well. And you also need to understand that you need discipline. You need to be disciplined along the journey. That's why you see when you have that saving box in your house and say, I'm going to commit to be putting a 10,000 every day in this box. Be disciplined that by May, you not want to break that box. Or in you're part of the investment club and you guys are contributing on a monthly basis, you don't reach a point in time and say, I have but I'm saving. Is this really worth it? And then you feel like your expenses have gone. Sometimes it's that kind of position you put into, and like, my expenses are high. I cannot even save more of this aspect. So you have to develop discipline. And that's why you see, if you feel like you're not a disciplined person, you struggle with this being disciplined when it comes to finances. Find ways of how you can make yourself disciplined forcefully. That's why you sign up, for example, for a direct debit with the bank and say, this money, remove it and put it on a different account. And even you limit your access to that account. Sometimes there are times when I was starting around my journey to financial independence, I would make sure I keep the ATM far away from me. I don't move with it, because when I'm moving with it, I'll be tempted to use the ATM and I'll remove it. I make sure I don't have a lot of money in my mobile money, because anyone who calls me and says, Sam, please lend me some money, I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to feel mercy for them and I have to give them the money. It's not that you don't need to give them money, or it's not that you don't need to enjoy your life, but you want to put discipline in you. You want to make sure that you attain it, because the journey, if I tell you that this journey will be easy, I think I'll be lying. I want to tell you that the journey to attaining your financial goals will have hurdles in it. But what matters most is what you want to achieve and what exactly you're going to dedicate yourself to doing to achieve it. Okay. And then one of the things that has worked for me as well, very important here, is the aspect of an accountability partner. Now, you need to have somebody whom you share these goals with, whom you say that, hold me accountable. Sometimes maybe just sharing with them. And this is the person who would ask you routinely, ask you and say, how far have you gone with these goals? I have friends that are my accountability partners, and I'm also accountability partners. Even as a finance coach, I also have other people that I coach that I'm an accountability partner to them. So I usually ask them whenever we meet or whenever we have a routine conversation, how far with the house? You told me you had settled on your house. Where have you reached? How far with your savings? You said you would start saving 200,000 every month. How far have you gone? Have you been able to save this through all this period? Very important. If you're married, your accountability partner may be your spouse. So you say, honey, we want to make sure that we save this amount of money. Hold me accountable. And at the end of the day, you're able to be open to some of these people, to be able to hold you accountable. By the end of the day, some of us, because of our grooming, we grew up through parents who used to tell us, do this, do this. Sometimes we need this kind of people that push us to this corner, okay? And then the other aspects that I want to tell you is that be patient along the process. Know that it will not come in one day. Rome was not built in one day, but every day they were built. That is the quote I want to leave you with. By being patient doesn't mean that, let me be patient, I can achieve this in 2 years so I can relax. Every day, it doesn't matter how much you're starting with. Even if you say, I'm going to save 50,000 per month, it makes more sense than somebody who is not saving any coin. So start small, be patient along the journey. Achieving your financial goals will take time, but it requires discipline, and if you're patient across the journey, you'll actually attain it, okay? And then the other aspect that will also help you is review your financial goals. Sit down after, let's say, after 3 months and review and say, is this really realistic for me? Set something that is realistic that you can look at and say, I've been able to achieve. Sometimes we set higher goals, and along the way, we fail to meet these and we give up along the way. But when you have a review, it helps you to look into what you said, look into your journey, look into your dynamics. Today, you're setting a goal and say, I'm going to start up a business. The next time we're in a lockdown, review, come down and review and reset other goals that you can take forward. Life is a journey and it keeps changing, and all you need to do is to make sure that you're always reviewing your life. You may today, you don't have a wife, next time you're married, so you need to review your goals. I said I'll make sure I build by this year. Now I need to fasten the goal because I have a family, or I have a new addition to my family. Very important. And then lastly, one thing that I want to share with you and I want to leave you with is the aspect of the future depends on what you do today. There is no shortcut to it. Whatever you're doing today, whatever amount you're saving will influence your financial future. Whatever habit you have, your person who is getting a good amount of money, but you cannot even save 10% out of it, you still say, I'm not earning good salary, it will affect your future. whatever aspects of your financial goals, somebody who sets them at the start and fail along the journey, it will affect you. So I want to say thank you so much for listening, and I would love to take on questions as well. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach Samuel, for taking us through this session. It has been very insightful. You've taken us through how we can go about our goals and making sure that we manage them throughout the year. It's not just enough to set goals, but how do you go forward and make sure that the goals that you've set are well managed so that you can achieve what you intend to achieve. Quite insightful, and I'm very sure that the people here have found value, and indeed they are going to, if they go ahead and apply, to be able to see more people hitting their goals at the end of the year. So which aspects of these insights that Sam has shared are you going to be able to apply? I welcome you to type at least one thing in the chat room that you've picked from this session that you're going to be able to apply. If you've been following, if you've been taking notes, I would like to ask you that please type at least one thing that you're going to start applying going forward. And as you type in the chat, I'm going to welcome questions for those of you who might have, so that we move forward in the next 10 to 15 minutes. That should be enough for the Q&A session. So please, if you have any question, you can type in the chat room and I'll be able to pick it up, or you can raise your hand and you'll be allowed to. So what is that one thing that you're going to apply from this session? Barbara says she's going to have an accountability partner. Thank you, Barbara. Please think about your accountability partner, and when you're doing that, please allow them and give them the authority to hold you accountable. Allow them to be able to ask you how far you've gone. All right, if you would like to ask a question, please, I'll ask you to raise your hand. Maserika Richard says, thanks for the session. It is unfortunate that I joined in late. Can I be in position to get a write-up of this session? If you can kindly go to our YouTube channel, that is Personal Finance with Darius, you'll be able to find a recording of this session, and you can be able to go through everything that has been shared today. Murunji says she's going to set a frequency for reviewing her plans. So yes, ask yourself, is it on a weekly basis? Is it on a monthly basis? Is it on a quarterly basis that I'll be able to follow up my goals? Patricia says, thank you, Coach Samuel and Darius. I'll review my goals and try my best to follow the 30-20, 50-30-20 principle. Thank you. And Nwagawa says, thanks for the inspiration. Also, thank you for joining, and we are grateful that you found this quite insightful. Nyanzi says, thank you, Samuel and Darius, for the session. Wonderful. It's a pleasure that you found it helpful. Richard says, can I get the link to the YouTube channel? Yes, that is going to be shared. Edwin says, big up Sam. Yes, Masereka, the link has been shared in the chat room. So you can please tap on it and it will take you there so that you can be able to listen to the recording. Tom says that was very insightful. Afua is appreciating. Thank you all for your feedback. Ruth says, thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'd like to continue to see what are some of those things that you're going to apply after this session. What is that one thing that you're going to apply? I wish I can get a comment from everyone on the call on what you're going to apply from this session. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining. And if you'd like to engage myself or Coach Samuel Iwanda beyond this session, maybe you would like to have a coach, you'd like someone guide you through your personal finance goals for this year, please feel free to get in touch. will be able to help you. If you're a group of people and you'd like a training on any aspect to do with personal finance management as a group, very happy to come and engage with you, whether it is an investment club, whether it is a Rotaract club, whether it is a circle, would be very delighted to come through and support you. Whether it is an organization and you have employees that you'd like to help manage their finances better, BCG and Next Life Finance will be very delighted to come and support you through that process. So we have Silva who says, thank you so much, only that I joined late. Is it okay? We share the schedule for the next time. Our sessions will always be at 5 p.m. every Sunday. So if you go to our YouTube channel, that is Personal Finance with Darius, you'll be able to pick it up. Murunji Immaculate says, my challenge is finding income generating business alongside a full-time job. How can I do that, please? So Coach Samuel Ivanda, you can respond to that. Someone who'd like to find an income generating business alongside their full-time job. I know that side hustles is one of the things that you're passionate about and that you talk about and that you help people to start and grow. Over to you, Samuel.
All right. Thank you so much, Darius, and thank you so much, everyone, for the comments, especially those that have joined this live session. In case you're watching this as a replay, we'd also love to know about your lesson, so you can type in the comment section of the YouTube channel as well. So to answer the question on struggling to ensure that you start an extra income now, I'm very passionate at helping professionals create multiple income streams. The person who believes that everyone can be able to do that and everyone can really sail through without having to depend on salary, because salary alone is a risk in its own, because you don't have control over it, and anytime it can find its way out. Okay. One of the things that I've done myself, because I'm employed, and one of the things that I've done is I looked at my skills and also looked at my passion. And I was able to create businesses out of that. Now, I don't know what your passion could be. I don't know what skills that you may have. But one thing that I'm very sure that you have something that another person may be interested in. So all you have to do is to create a system in a way that the other person can be able to get the service from you, and then you're able to give it to them. Alternatively, you could look at the problems that are around you. Okay. One example, I would say, one time we used to be at work where we used to struggle to find breakfast because our location was a bit far from the market. So there's this lady who found a solution for us. She started making some of these things and bringing them at work. Some of them she would buy and come and resell. So she buys something like at 500, she sells it at, let's say, 800 or 1,000. And would happily buy, because for you to go to the market, that will take you about 1,000 to actually get there. Now, I'm not saying you do that, but what I'm saying is that you can find something that you can actually sell to others. There are things that you buy yourself. Sometimes you even buy and you even know that these things are sold at a cheaper price. But there are other people that are in a similar category that may be interested in them. Now, social media gives us a leverage that you don't even have to open up a shop to start selling. All you have to do is use your WhatsApp status, use your Facebook timeline, and be able to sell. If you're somebody who is afraid to sell, you may have to opt now for other ways of how to make income. And this could be partnering with other people. Of course, everything has risk in its own. There is no return without risk. And many people say, when I start up a business, I put up somebody, they will steal me. Yes, there are risks that they will steal, but there are many people, other people who are running such businesses where they are actually able to get an income out of it, despite the circumstances. Or they put up systems to protect, to make sure that they are not being, they're not really losing their money. But above all, I think everyone, you look at your life, you look at opportunities around, you look at your skills, you look at your work, looking at the dynamics of your work, how much hours you have at your workplace, and what flexibility you also have, because there are also some employers that restrict you from engaging in any other kind of business. So based on really your circumstances, be able to find out something that can best work for you. One of the beliefs that I have is that everyone can actually find something that can work for them. It's just about understanding yourself and knowing. And that is one of the things that I do as a coach. So basically, when you sign up for my coaching session, you basically go through all those factors. I'm able to ask you those key questions, and then we're able to come up with something that you can kickstart, and I hold you accountable, able to guide you as well, share my knowledge from my perspective as somebody who has run side businesses before, and as well as succeeded at my workplace. Then you can be able to come up with something. So if that's something that works for you, you can be able to reach out, and I'll leave my contact, and then you can see what exactly to do. But I believe that everyone can be able to do, and it's a very good thing. Every employee who is watching this either live or is watching the replay, one of the things that you should strive for is to make sure that you add an extra income, because there is more to do with saying, I'm going to save, I'm going to invest. But if your income is remaining stagnant, I want to tell you that your expenses are going to keep on increasing, and along the way, you find yourself not achieving anything. But when your income is increasing, you can at least have some leeway of balancing and being able to attain what you want to do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel. Actually, that is a very wonderful point to make. And I would like to emphasize it. Saving is finite, but income is infinite. So that means that you can make as much money as there is possibly is, and you cannot finish all the money that is there in the world. So while we encourage you to save as a starting point towards you building your financial freedom, you can save up to a certain point. If you are earning 1 million, you cannot save all the 1 million, because I mean, you need to live, you need to have a life, and you need to, like, there are these necessities that you cannot go with. Even if you said that, for me, I want to make sure that I live all the pleasures, I want to make sure that I maximize whatever I'm earning so that I can save. There is a limit that you can save up to. So indeed, but there is no limit to how much money you can make. You can always make as much money as your abilities can limit you. So please, as you think about what you want to save, please also think about how much you'd like to save. So Coach Samuel, we have another question, and probably it's going to be one of our last. Afua in the chat room is asking, what business can I start with 1 million maximum within Kampala, while putting in consideration that I'm renting? I started a poultry farm in the village, but it has failed, hopefully because of poor supervision. Thank you, Samuel. Over to you.
Okay. I don't know what I think Afwa is must be a lady by name. Okay, if you're a gentleman, you can correct me. That would guide me to advise you. But what I would say is 1 million is actually a good amount of money, and you can be able to start and earn side income from this. I said that what business to start depends on you, on many factors. Apart from you being renting, 1 million now, businesses that are started around scale are businesses that don't require a lot of capital. For example, I'm a photographer, and all I need is to make sure that if I have a camera, I'll get started, and the rest will find me along the way. Or if I'm good at baking, all I need is to know a friend who has an oven who can rent it to me, and I can get started. Or I'm good at writing. So all I need is to be able to find people who may need my writing skills. Or I'm good at speaking, and so on. So all you need, the amount of money you just need to supplement in terms of being able to either create marketing flyers, being able to put up a few systems. But one thing I would say is that for the 1 million, don't look for a room to rent. Okay, don't look for a room to rent, because the 1 million itself may just end in the rent in its own. So find something that you can do without, I don't know, when you say what business, if you're not employed, the dynamics may change if you're not employed, because there you have a time on you, and there the kind of business you want to start may be different for someone who is employed. But if somebody is employed and they have 1 million maximum on them, I wouldn't advise them to find a place and say I'm renting, because already you're taking up most of your capital. All I want you to do is look at your skills and see what business you can get out of the skills. In case you don't have a skill, start with products. Go look for a product that you think people in your circle may need. Okay, I'll give you an example. Darius here, who is part of this call, sells passion fruits. Some of you have seen him share some of these passion fruits on WhatsApp. If it's to buy a bag, I don't think the bag costs him 1 million, but he's able to make a margin out of that. So start with something that you think you have access to getting in terms of source, and you also have a market that you can sell to this product, given the current situation that you have. Okay. At the end of the day, you investing money in a poultry in the village, that alone in its own, where you're not getting that kind of supervision that is enough for you to know that your money is safe. I think utilize it yourself and see what you can be able to start. I have a friend who had passion for fashion, so she started getting clothes from Owino, put them together in a nice way, and she'd add her margin and she'd be able to get. And she started with just about 5 pieces. And at the end of the day, right now, she now has her boutique, just starting from that. You may say, I'm going to use the 1 million to learn makeup. And that makeup, you can be able to now look for people who may need to. So depending, the 1 million may say, I'm going to learn baking. I'm going to pay somebody maybe 200,000 to learn baking, and then I can start from there. Okay. So depending, if you have the skills, you have whatever you have. But at the end of the day, you can also be able to connect, where we can have a conversation, a deeper conversation, where I can be able to ask you key questions that can help us to come up with something that can work, and then maybe also to support you along the journey to ensure that you put systems that can ensure that you're successful. I think I would be looking forward to that. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for that elaborate response to our first question. I'm sure that she has picked something. And of course, from such a session, you may not pick up all the options, but it is always good to pick up the pointers and go back and reflect and ask yourself, so within my environment, what exactly can I do? Because Samuel, of course, is not your environment. Right now, Darius is not in your environment. You understand your environment better. If you look at it, you might realize that there's something that is missing within the area that you could do to be able to start your business with that 1 million max. I want to be very honest. For someone who is really committed to starting a business in Kampala, actually 1 million is a lot of 1 million is a lot of capital. There are lots of things that you can start with. The only challenge is that we always want to start big. We always want to start where the business is already looking big, because either you know that probably you'll say that I'm working with MTN Uganda, and therefore I cannot start a business that is small. Or I have my bachelor's degree, so how will people see me when I'm running a chapati stall? You want to say that I have my master's degree, how will someone see me running a popcorn business? Or how will someone see me running a juice business? Or how will someone see me running an Irish business? But my friend, there is this WhatsApp meme that I always see around. A lion was in mud. I think they had gone to hunt for what to eat. That sometimes you need to put aside your pride and hustle. So some of us, we need to reflect what are some of those things that stop us from identifying the kinds of opportunities that we could have spotted. We want to do smart businesses, if I could say. We want to do businesses that are not dirty at all, but the money is in those things that you're trying to avoid. So reflect upon yourself, the environment that you're in, the kind of friends that you're with, the passions that you have, and you see that there's a lot that you can do. So otherwise, I want to thank everyone that has been on this call. Thank you very much for listening in, for tuning in. Like I always emphasize, our pleasure, our satisfaction comes from you applying what you've learned from this session. I want that media, when we are doing a survey, you'll be one of those people who will give us a testimony of how you picked a goal, followed through with this goal, and then you're applying it very well, and you're seeing yourself making progress. I want you to be the kind of person that will be proud to say that, Darius, I would like to be hosted on your sessions so that I can be able to share some of the learnings that I've been able to apply. I remember last year, someone was sharing with me pictures of a kitchenette that they were able to make in their home, and they were very appreciative because they were able to do this from the savings that they put aside as part of the 52 weeks challenge. Another person showed me a tanker that they had bought at home as part of the savings initiative that we had started. So even you, what is one of those things that we are going to reach out to you, and you'll be able to tell us that, I'm very happy because of this insight that I picked from one of the sessions when you hosted Samuel Ivanda, and I am now applying it and I'm seeing progress in my finance sessions. If you spend your full hour on this Sunday evening and do not apply what you've learned from here, my friend, it's better that someone who stayed out there and didn't attend the session is way better than you. So application is the most important thing. So Samuel Ivanda, once again, I want to say that I'm very grateful for you always sparing your time and coming and sharing with our community. So I encourage the people to always check out YouTube. That is Personal Finance with Darius, to be able to pick out the recordings of these sessions. I see someone is asking how they can access the session. Actually, if you're on this call and you haven't yet subscribed, please follow the link that has just been posted in the chat. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. And also, don't be selfish. Share with your friends as many as possible so that our message can reach more people. Don't be selfish. Please reach out to as many people as possible and share with them this link. Ask them to subscribe. Well, our channel will be growing. It will be reaching out to more people, and that is the impact that we shall be creating. Not just you, so don't be selfish with all this information that you get through. Coach Samuel has shared his number in the him using that number. You can also samuelivanda.com and you'll be able to see more of what he does. So I thank you very much for having spared your time for this session, and I wish you a great week ahead as we apply what we've learned. Thank you very much.